Welcome back to our channel, where we bring you the latest developments in global affairs. Today, tensions are reaching a boiling point in the South China Sea as the United States and the Philippines make a bold move to challenge China's territorial claims. With the deployment of an aircraft carrier and thousands of troops, the US and PH are sending a clear message to Beijing. The South China Sea is a hotbed of geopolitical tension, with multiple countries laying claim to its waters and resources. China, in particular, has been assertive in its claims, building artificial islands and militarizing the region. In response, the United States has ramped up its presence in the area, conducting freedom of navigation operations and bolstering alliances with countries like the Philippines. Now, with the deployment of an aircraft carrier strike group, the U.S. is taking its commitment to the next level. This move by the U.S. and PH represents a significant escalation in tensions. It's a clear challenge to China's territorial ambitions and could lead to further confrontations in the region. Some 16,000 U.S. and Philippine troops kicked off the annual joint military drills on Monday in the West Philippine Sea, local media reported. WPS is the official designation by Philippines to the parts of the South China Sea that are included in the country's exclusive economic zone. The 19-day exercises, dubbed Balaketan 2024, will involve around 5,000 Philippine and 11,000 U.S. troops, making it the largest joint military drills between the two allies conducted in decades, local English daily Manila Times reported, citing the military. A total of 14 nations, including Japan and India, will take part in the drills as observers amid mounting maritime tensions in the South China Sea. Contingents from the Australian Defence Force and the French Navy will also join the exercise as participants. France will join the group's sail but will only navigate on the edge of the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone in WPS. The Japan Defence Force was supposed to join the maritime sail but did not respond to the Philippine Army's invitation on time. This year's maritime drill will, for the first time, go beyond the Philippines' 12 nautical mile territorial waters. During the exercises, the participants will execute a range of complex missions across domains, including maritime security, air and missile defense, dynamic missile strikes, cyber defense, and information operations. It is typical of the U.S. Navy to send its aircraft carriers, the backbone of its naval fleet, to volatile zones as a means of deterrence and power projection to its adversaries. The carriers sail far seas in peacetime, but mainly during some tensions, as is currently evident in the SCS. The last time a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier docked in Singapore was when the U.S. Nimitz made a port call in the Southeast Asian country in January. Before that, U.S. Ronald Reagan made a brief visit in July 2022, after which it quickly headed to the Philippine Sea. Amid tensions over North Korea's scheduled rocket launch of a space satellite, Carrier Strike Group 1, a symbol of U.S. military might and a nuclear-powered carrier, made a port stop in South Korea. The U.S. aircraft carrier Carl Vinson arrived at a port in the South Korean city of Busan on November 21. It is likely that the carrier sailed to Singapore from there, although the U.S. Navy stopped short of divulging these details. However, U.S. carriers often sail to the Indo-Pacific region, to the dismay of the People's Liberation Army, which labels it provocative. For instance, U.S. Nimitz and its strike group operated in the South China Sea in April before departing to the Philippine Sea in May. Following this, the Ronald Reagan Carrier Strike Group was seen working in the South China Sea in June 2023. In late June, the U.S. Ronald Reagan Carrier visited another Southeast Asian state, Vietnam. The aircraft carrier reportedly arrived in the central Vietnamese city of Da Nang a few weeks after a Chinese survey vessel, multiple Coast Guard ships and fishing boats sailed in Vietnam's exclusive economic zone in the South China Sea. The United States frequently dispatches its carriers to regions where its adversaries are aggressive and active. For instance, the George H. W. Bush Carrier Strike Group was deployed for 8 months and the Harry S. Truman Carrier Strike Group was deployed to the Mediterranean for 9 months after the Russo-Ukraine War. More recently, the U.S. Gerald R. Ford Aircraft Carrier Strike Group was dispatched to the eastern Mediterranean to be stationed near Israel's coast, just days after the country came under an unprecedented terror attack by Hamas on October 7. Another aircraft carrier strike group, U.S. Dwight D. Eisenhower, joined the Ford just days later. U.S. and Philippine troops will sail beyond the Southeast Asian nation's territorial waters for the first time since the joint annual drills started 3 decades ago, risking further maritime tensions with Beijing. The joint exercises will be held in multiple Philippine locations near the disputed South China Sea and Taiwan, despite China's warning that tensions could get worse with the activities set to run from April 22 to May 10. Over 16,700 personnel are expected to take part in the training called Balikatan, a Filipino word that means shoulder to shoulder. Australian and French troops will also take part in some of the exercises. For the first time since Balikatan started in 1991, the Allies will sail outside the 12 nautical miles of the Philippines baseline off the western Palawan province, which faces the South China Sea. The U.S. military's maiden deployment in the Philippines of a missile system covering a range that could reach China's southern provinces shows the drills are beyond self-defense purposes, according to Cao Weidong, a retired senior researcher at the PLA Naval Research Academy. This year's war games are taking place at a time of increasingly strained relations between China and the Philippines, as President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. grew more assertive over territorial rights and bolstered ties with the U.S. and its allies. Maritime encounters between the countries have become more frequent, with China's recurring use of water cannons damaging Philippine vessels and at times injuring the crew. The use of the missile system, according to Philippine military Colonel Michael Logico, would only be for logistical training and it will not be fired, emphasizing that the drills aren't aimed against China. The intention of targeting China's mainland is very clear, Cao said. We can also deploy corresponding weaponry and alert equipment so that we can respond, he said without elaborating. As military tensions rise, diplomatic efforts are underway to defuse the situation. But with so much at stake, the world is holding its breath, watching to see how this high-stakes game of brinkmanship will unfold. Thank you for joining us as we explore the unfolding drama in the South China Sea. Be sure to subscribe for more updates on this developing story, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay informed and stay safe.